Yeah. What's that, Jenkins? Oh, Mrs. Tweed's furious. Come back from Belgium bearing gifts, following the list, and she's furious. I mean, got Belgian chocolates and a Belgian Jesus. Yeah. Oh, hang on a minute. Belgian cheeses. Hello, welcome to Tweed's Garage. In this video, we're working on the Scott. Yes, back on the Scott. To all the new subscribers that don't know, I've got a 1937 Scott working on. Yes, one of the many projects. Yeah, we've been, what have we been doing with that? Taking the gearbox out, working on the gearbox. Yeah, that's a bit of a disaster. But anyway, we're starting to put things back together. So I tackled the gear selector mechanism. Parts have turned up, so yeah, I'm sort of getting that back together, and the Cush drive on the rear wheel, reassembling that so it's all ready to go back on the bike. So let's go along and have a look. Yeah, we'll go this way. So some parts have arrived, so we can do some more work on the Scott. Yes, I will get onto the gearbox. That is still sitting on the mill, but I will get to that. But in the meantime, Cush drive rubbers have turned up from the Scott Owners Club. Replacement springs for the gear change mechanism to replace those ones, inlet manifold gasket, and a couple of crankcase door gaskets, because you have to sort of pop them off occasionally, so I've ordered myself some spare ones, and then a lock washer which I thought might fit the gearbox, that one that had two bits missing, but unfortunately it won't, so that will go in the spares box for now. And I've managed to locate, so we're going to move on to the wheel. Yeah, back onto the back wheel, which was sort of nearly done but not completely done because we needed these. I've managed to find the nuts, put it back together. Now these are an early pre-nylox, but they've actually got sort of a fibre rather than nylon. There's like a fibre washer type material in there. Very shallow sort of nuts. Yeah, difficult to find these. So yes, I'm reusing them, but we're going to be putting a bit of the old thread lock on them when we put them on, so we make sure they don't come off, but that'll be fine. So what we've got to do, put these in the hub. So we'll move down to the hub. Okay, so this is the rear wheel. We need to put those Cush drive rubbers in to complete it, so we can bolt it in the frame and forget about it for now. Well, once we've put the gearbox back in, that's a small detail. So what we need to do is those rubbers go in there, two on each side, and then they go either side of these. So yeah, we're fighting gravity on this, they sort of fall out, but we'll give it a go. I think a bit of lubricants might not go amiss. So we've got the silicone grease in my little pot, handy little pots for this type of thing, and rubbers down here, right, and we need to put them in here. So what we'll do, put a little bit of silicone grease on the back of the rubbing surfaces, and then place them all in here like this. It's going to be a bit of a juggle. Don't know if there's a wrong way or right way to do this, but I think it's better on with them poked into here and then trying to get that round bit into there. Yeah, let's see how we get on. I did give it a little practice run before we fired the camera up, but that was before putting grease on. They'll probably just fall all over the place now. They're quite squishy, so hopefully they'll have a bit of give in them. Pop in, not put up too much of a fight. Right, that's those in there like that. Yeah, like you see, we've got to flip this upside down and juggle it around. I'll put it down there a minute, and then I'll just put a bit of silicone on these faces as well. Okay, we're bound to lose a few of these, but try and hold them all in if we can. Oh, there goes one. Two. Which one fell out? Where did it go? There it went. Okay, that one. Hopefully. There, like that. Just jiggle them round a bit, see how they go. Ease them past the stud post. Like that, like that. Like that. And then sort of wiggle it around. Like that. And then I've got a pokey stick. Where's my pokey stick? Just poke them down. Poke them down past the post. Just keep going. Press, yeah. It's going quite nicely. There we go. I think that's gone quite well. Let's just give them another seating. Make sure they're all happily sitting as low down as they'll go. There we go. And I think the ring goes on like that. Okay, bit of grease on there. Get the hole up tight. Stop them going anywhere. Right, everything seems to stop about there. So that's where we'll leave them. Fortunately, you can't. You've got the strength to see if it moves. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. So one Cush drive assembled and sprocket to go on. There we go, sprocket on. See if we can grease that up. Pumpy with the old grease nipple. Yeah, there's a bit come out there. There's not a lot of space in there. There's a bit come out there. And then there's a ridge that runs all the way around. I did pre-grease it before I put it together as well. So once we've run it a bit, we'll put another splurb in there. And there we go. Right, that's 10 loose pieces back on the bike that we don't have to keep tabs on. Let's see if we can put that gear pedal mechanism back together with the new spring. So yeah, I've got my assembly, disassembly jig that I made, so we can pop that back in there, which is the outer body for it, and then we can push the inner body with its springs when it's assembled through there and then into its housing. So there's that to do. The reason we couldn't assemble it, we were waiting for new springs. One of these had broken. You can see there it's missing a bit off the end there. It's shorter. There was 2 pieces inside the housing. So yeah, along with the Cush drive rubbers, 2 new springs turned up. So we got those to put in. So I can nearly reassemble it, but there's a little pin that sits between these 2 pieces of spring steel with the springs pushed up against them, and this moves each way and compresses the spring one way or the other when you're going up or down the gearbox. And as you can see, it is well mullered, as we say. So I was going to turn a new one of these up, and running a file over this, it sounds quite tough. So I think I've only got some random steel bar, so we'll turn that up, and then what we'll do is we'll case harden it, which you can do with you know, mild steels, and not, you know, if you haven't got any sort of high quality carbon steel. So we'll harden it in the old cassinite powder. So I'll show you how to do that. We'll do that afterwards, but first I've got to go and turn one up on the lathe, so we'll go and do that. So there we go, there's the pin with a slot in the end of it, ready to be installed. But first we'll case harden it, so we'll pop it in the half there, ready to warm it up. So we've got our blowtorch, lighter, cassinite powder, which is just sort of carbon powder. And the way it works is as you heat the steel up to sort of cherry red, it opens up the grain of the steel, and when you drop it in the carbon, that carbon gets sort of absorbed into the fissures in the crystalline structure of the steel and gets locked in there when you sort of heat it up again and quench it. Traps the carbon in the steel, hardening the outer face of it. They used to use, or you can use, leather, you know, sort of coke, anything sort of carbon based. You know, some people like crushed up bone, anything like that that sort of turns into carbon when you drop something red hot into it. Yeah, and it does smell like you're burning yeah, bone or feathers or something like that. Yeah, feathers is another thing, anything like that. But yeah, that's basically what this is, sort of carbon in a can. Right, so let's get it hot and we'll drop it in there. Oh, and a pair of pliers to grab it and drop it in the powder rather than your fingers. Off we go. Let's bring it up to temperature, going through blue. There we go. Past blue towards brown, and then gradually towards cherry red. Take the torch away occasionally so you can see what colour it is. And we're just starting to go. It's gone a golden colour. Getting there. Yeah, nearly there. Sort of brick red. Drop it in there and then bury it in the powder and just keep moving it around so it gets a good coating of the powder. You can hear it sizzling away in there. Can you hear it sizzling? There you go, like snap, crackle and pop. It's in there somewhere. I should really sieve this because I got it from an old factory, so it's got lumps of other things in there. It's definitely in there though, I can hear it sizzling still. Hook it out. There you go, you see the sort of where the carbon's gone into it, sort of blackened it off. We'll heat it again. Swirl it around. There we go. Carbon on the surface. Just clean it off with a wire brush and ready to pop it in. Okay, now we've got all the bits, let's start to reassemble it. So we've got this little pin. There we go, that was just in there. Flush. These sit in there and then the springs sit on top, so we'll put some grease on those. This is going to get messy. One on the other side like that. Then we've got to put the springs in and debate which way we're going to press it in. What I want to do is, you can see this was at the bottom. This is where the selector pin came in and moved the springs one way and the other. But they're quite worn there, so the springs are going to dig in. So we're going to turn it up the other way so that that heavy wear area has got, you know, there's less grooves for the springs to bite into. You know, up the top end don't matter so much. You can see there that there's less compression up the top. So we need to put it in that way and hopefully pop that in there like that. Not quite yet. Just rest it there. Get these springs greased up. There is a grease nipple on the back of the unit that will hopefully get round and get all these, but we'll give it a good start. Fairly liberal coating. Where's the other one? In there, going in there, going in there like that. Make sure it's on the pin. Okay, let me have a little clean up on oil 5. Tuck the springs in on the way down. They're catching on the pin. There's a little pin in the middle to divide them apart, and it was catching on that, stopping it from going in. Need something to separate that like that. Bear with, slightly narrower screwdriver. Phillips might be better. No. Oh, maybe if I do it from this way I can see it. Oh, this is a pickle. That's it. Needs a bit of something solid behind it. It's been working okay. Move it down to a better surface. Here we go. Yeah, there. So we can get it. Yeah, out there. There we go. I think we got it. Yeah, you could do it going down a little bit there. There we go. Springs all back in. And now they're each side of that pin, so then my selector pin will slide in there quite nicely, hopefully. Right, the original pin had a bit of a chamfer each side. I think to ease it in between the springs there. I don't know though, it's still pretty tight. It will go in. Whereas I haven't done it on this one. I thought that was where it'd been waggling around. I mean, some of it is. I'm going to try and see if I can get this in so it's got a nice flat surface all the way along rather than twisting everything at an angle. So we give it a go. This has got to go on the plate. Goes in there like that. Made it so it sits nicely in the recess there because the old one had been waggling around and the hole had elongated, so it sits nice and firm in there, even without the nut and bolt on it. Don't need a screwdriver on the back of it. Nope. No, it's a nice tight fit in there. That's good. Okay, so the next thing is try and get that on there. Like that. There we go. Just held this in the vise and then pushed the pin against one of the spring seats. It popped in there quite nicely. Okay, pop a bit of grease on that. As you see, it's got grease holes in it, and grease nipple goes in at the end. It didn't have one, so I'll have to find one to go in there. Drop it, put grease all over it. Lovely. Right, in there like that. And then the nut on the other side. Not sure whether there was a washer. I'll have a look around, but I don't think there was. Yeah, okay. Okay, just had to sort of check it over, forgot where all the bits went. So, next thing to go on is these little selector forks. Yeah, they're a bit of a state, but can't get them down Halfords, so I'll have to pop them back in. There, on that one. So on that one it should be there. Yeah, see? Witness mark there where the springs were running, so we know which way they go back in. That one goes there, like that, and that one goes there like that. And a generous application grease to the sliding surfaces. And this is where all the magic happens, where it sort of clicks down once and goes back to the neutral position. And there like that. Have a spring like that. There we go. So yeah, with that ring it will just turn it and lock in, but then you've got this other ring. Oh no, this ring goes on first, idiot. Well, I think it does. Yeah, because you got, yeah. Yeah, because that would be too high and it would miss this locating pin. So, don't think it matters which way it goes. Try and see again where the witness wear marks are. I think that's where most of the sliding's gone on. So I think it'll be those two faces. So that goes in there like that. So one ring locks it in, and then because it's located, yeah. So one ring locks them in, and the other ring releases them. I think that's how it works. Bit weird, but we'll bolt it together and see what happens. Maybe it needs the pedal on. So then the gear change pedal goes on like that. I've got two. I think this is a short one. I'll have to sort of see which one suits better. Yeah, I'll go and have a look at the manual and come back to you. So there you go. That's the selector back together. Yeah, I'm not happy with it. Yeah, if I'm honest, I don't really like it. Yeah, it's sort of big, bulky, and can't really work out how it works. It's got sort of two sort of ratchet pawls, you know, one each side, that seem to sort of counteract each other. And if you sort of push it too far, it sort of goes over. But anyway, I'll put it back on the gearbox and see how it works on the gearbox. But yeah, it is a bit, it's like the foot pegs, they are a bit big and beefy. But anyway, yeah, we'll pop it back on, see how it goes. It should work, hopefully. Anyway, so that was that. Back together, back wheel, back together, so that can go on once we get the gearbox in. So yeah, back end should be rolling. Parts for the forks have turned up, so I've just got to do a bit of painting. Of course, I'll wait till the autumn when it's not painting weather to get round to them. But there you go. That's a problem for me, not for you. Anyway, so that's work done on the Scott. Had a little job through the workshop. It was a intake manifold, and it was one of those jobs, thought was easy, turned out to be a little bit more tricky. So I thought you might like to see it. So let's go to the milling machine. Here's an interesting little interlude for those interested in how to clamp jobs on the mill. Yeah, it's a job I got in. It's off a Pinto engine, Ford Pinto engine, twin double DCOE Webers on it. I thought it'd be an easy job. When I took it on, I thought, yeah, that'd be fine. Just give it to me and I'll clamp it to the mill, face one side off, turn it over, face the other side off. Job done. Yeah, not job done. I don't know if you can see here, it's still clamped down at the moment. I might take it off later. There is actually, the inlets are actually angled about 6 degrees compared to with the mating face on the cylinder head. So yeah, that was an issue. First thing I tried to do was tilt the head of the mill up here. You can see, if you've seen in my other videos, you can nod this head this way and this way to, you know, change the angle. That would have been easy, just to clamp it down, mill it at 6 degrees, turn it over and then mill the other side. But you have issues. It's got to be dead straight on the same plane as the sort of, how do I describe it, as the angle of the casting. So yeah, sort of through the middle. Trouble is, if you sort of, if it's mounted at an angle and you have it twisted one way, sort of one way or the other, as you can see, you know, one end's going to be further away than this end, you know, this way, and vice versa. So it's very difficult, because there's no flat edges, no sort of machined edges to rest it against. They're sort of rough castings, all quite tricky. So gave up with that idea, retrammed the head back in. For those that don't know, it's just to get it back all parallel and all hunky-dory with the table of the lathe. So next thing I've done was bolted it down. I found 2 bolts that would go through the threaded holes on the manifold, and then the face of the bolt, where they normally have that sort of writing stamped into them, just run that through the belt sander and sort of clean those off so they're sort of nice and got a rounded edge to them, so they turn nicely without stepping and jumping up and down like that. Left the flat edges on because they rest nicely against this ridge here, so it makes it, you know, stops it sort of wanting to slip anywhere. And then the way to get it all level was with the old spirit level like this. This is a Raybone and Chesterman level, and it works very well. Now, yeah, this bed, I've leveled all this. I don't know whether it's just the temperature in here, it's really cold and it does mess stuff up, but I have got a lot of weight on the end of the table as well. You know, it's an old mill, so it does tend to sag down that end. Yeah, but as you can see, put it on there like that and it will settle there, and spin it round the other way just to double check your level is set up okay, which it is. Well, see, this is the trouble, this is a bit funky. This small one is a bit of a nightmare, and it's going back now, and you've got to be really careful with these, especially when everything's cold. When they're really cold, if you can sort of grab it at one end with your fingers, I don't know whether it will do it, you can actually see the bubble moving. Can you see that? And that is purely from the temperature of my hands going into the cast iron and distorting the cast iron. So when you are using them, yeah, you want to handle them as little as possible. There you go, it's gone back again now. They're that sensitive. How do you level them up? Well, you put them on a surface, doesn't have to be level like this level. You could level it on this, put it one way like this, see where the bubble is, turn it round the other way, let it settle, see where the bubble is, and that's okay. But if, you know, the bubble's one way and sort of down that way the other way, what you'd do is with the nuts there, you'd move that up and down to move that bubble and get it resting in the same position both ways round, and then you know it's reading, you know, it's reading level. It's all set ready to go when you got the same readings both ways. So yeah, so put the level on there and the level that way, and jack the screws up, and then gently clamped it down, and kept checking it, and made sure it was all secure, and then faced it off, and that's worked really nicely. So what I've got to do now I've got a flat surface, but again I've got straight edges here, but I've got a round here that sort of gets in the way. So I've got to figure out a way of turning it round and then jacking it and clamping it so that this face is parallel and level with the cutting tool, so I'll get a nice flat finish. But there is another little thing I found when I was messing around trying to set it up. I'm not quite sure whether they're also at a slight angle, very small, so the carbs aren't sitting like that. They're sort of sitting slightly like that. I don't know. I've got to double check it. But yeah, this is the fun of milling. It's sometimes you can spend more time clamping or working out how to clamp the job than it actually takes to do the job. So yeah, if you go to a machine shop with a sort of really odd shaped bit and ask the bloke to mill it for you and he tells you where to go, you'll understand why, because it's all a bit of a puzzle. Magpie's joined in. Right, so yeah, just to show you, and this is my other Raybone and Chesterman, even more accurate level, and as you can see this has a little handle so you can sort of get your fingers in the middle there rather than grabbing the body of it to try and keep your heat out of the casting so you don't affect it. So we'll let that settle. There you go. This one settles faster. The only trouble is the smaller the bubble, you know, the sort of the longer they take to settle sometimes. So this one settles a lot faster, a lot nicer. And then you've got these increments on here, and it's a 12-inch level, and unfortunately I don't have the paperwork with it. You know, I think these measurements are something like a thou over 12 inches, you know, to give you your angle, so you know sort of how much it's out across a certain distance. But don't quote me on that. I know they're there, not quite sure what the measurement increments are on it, so I just try and use it, you know, as a level. But as you can see, if I pop it down back on the bed like that, back there, hopefully you can see it, it will settle in the same place like that. Yeah, so we know it's all running on the same plane. So there you go, little interlude and a little milling clamping puzzle. Yeah, I'll never get square blocks to mill. That'd be nice. I think the worst one was a stainless steel exhaust manifold 3-into-1 that needed its face skimming. So one, it was stainless steel made up from welded plate, and then always swivel the little cover over so you don't break the bubble. Same on that one when you're not using them. Good practice. Yeah, just flick the old cover around. There we go. Yeah, and the face of the manifold was made up of 3 plates of stainless steel, all welded together. So not only did I have to hang it off of the table of the mill, multiple clamps, had to keep checking them all the time because it was welded stainless steel. It was horrible to machine. It had hard spots and it was hard, and you had to go at it because you didn't want it to work harden anymore. And because it was chattering, you had to check that the clamps were tight all the time. They had a habit of coming loose. So yeah, you can get some real challenges on the mill, but you know, they can be done. So yeah, when I've worked out how to do the other side, I'll come back to you. So the level assisted me in setting the job up pretty quickly, getting it sort of nearly there, and just clocking it out and it's about 0.03 of a millimetre difference end to end. It dips down in the middle, yeah, and side to side's pretty good. So I think that will do. So obviously the casting has warped in the middle over time, as you can see. Sort of 10, 20, or 0.2 of a millimetre. And I come back up here, it starts climbing back up again. So that outside edge there. There you go. Yeah. So that'll do. I don't think they've intentionally machined them at a slight V like that, because you've got all the linkages connecting the two together. So I think you want them side by side, you know, parallel and level. So yeah, so we'll go ahead and skim this off. Oh, cherry chocolates. So, there you go. Hope you enjoyed it. Bit of a mixed bag there. Mainly Scott, and then a bit of engineering at the end. If you like the video, as usual, give us a little like, and hit that subscribe button. And yeah, I think that's it. That's all you have to do. Not asking you to make the tea. Yeah? So, alright. See you next time. Oh, do you want a chocolate? Belgian cheeses. Yeah, I don't know, Jenkins. Mrs. Tweed's furious. Come back from the don't know. Got a 19th. Hello, welcome to this video. Props, Jenkins, always causing problems. Hello and welcome to Tweed's Garage. In this video